over the years, the one thing that has never remained static in my life is my perception of myself. It's one of those things that's constantly evolving. How I viewed myself, let's say, a year ago, isn't the same way I view myself currently. I'm assuming this is why when the describe yourself, tell us about yourself questions came about, I never really knew or never have really known how to answer them. Am I meant to give a rendition of my past, my present, or my future self? Or should I just give a version that is simply palatable to most? Because my past and the present form my reality, my future is simply merely then a fantasy yet to come into fruition. Am I entitled to give and present a version of myself that is yet to be? For the longest time, I thought I needed to figure out which version was the real me. I wanted a definitive answer. Something solid enough that screams, this is who I am. The more I tried to define myself, the more confusing it became. And somewhere along the way, trying to understand myself started becoming a way of hurting myself. I would question whether the person I was yesterday was still me today. I would compare who I was with who I thought I should be. And I would look at the person I wanted to become and use the distance between us as evidence that something was wrong with the person I currently was. Quite literally, I was dancing with the devil, except I was the architect of my own demise. Not because there was something wrong with wanting to understand myself, but because I was trying to force something inherently complex into a simple definition. And perhaps the devil was never the uncertainty itself. Perhaps it was my insistence that I needed to eliminate that uncertainty. Because identity is just one of those things that drives a person forward. Without it, life starts to feel like a filler episode. Or like being one of those characters in an animated series who hasn't been fully drawn in yet. You're merely just a concept. But eventually, I realized that my past, my present, and future versions of myself all encompass the sense of self I was desperately trying to find. Why? They were all uniquely and specifically mine. My past self is who I was. My present self is who I am. And my future self is who I could become. And the reason why I never had a perfect answer to the question, who am I? Is because just as I am constantly changing, that answer is also constantly changing. And not necessarily because I don't know myself, but because there's more than one self for me to know. So even if the version of self I see in the future doesn't exist yet, my present self can slowly work towards becoming her. And by definition, a thought ladder is a way of shifting from a negative or a limiting thought to an empowering one through small, believable, intermediate steps. Because sometimes I think one of the biggest problems with the self-help community is that you're often told to just simply think positively. If, let's say, my present self hates my body, it's a bit unrealistic to go from I am worthless to I am a goddess. If I generally don't believe that second statement, repeating it isn't magically going to make me believe it. In fact, it's only going to make me feel worse. Because now, on top of hating myself, I feel like I'm failing at being positive. So instead, I climb there. I start by saying, I am human. My body is perfectly fine. My body deserves care. I am learning to appreciate my body. And then maybe eventually, I love the way I exist in this body. The point isn't to lie to myself until I believe something. It's to meet myself where I am and give myself somewhere believable to go next. Because if identity is constantly evolving, then I don't have to demand that my present self immediately becomes my ideal self. I can instead slowly climb up towards her. I can accept that some parts of me are meant to be discovered, while other parts are meant to be created. My identity was something I was meant to experience rather than define. The uncertainty wasn't meant to consume me. I was meant to coexist with it and let it direct me. And my dance with the devil was mine to lead.